Everything you're going through is for your benefit. Not just the good things, not just the easy things, but even the hard things. I've realized that the things that I consider loss and pain are stupid and they are not real. Now, you may think, wait a minute, you're the guy that's always talking about your pain and your past. Yes, what I mean is that being a victim to my past, it's not God's desire. He wants me to be the master of my destiny. He wants you to be the master of your destiny. And the more that we focus on our childhood trauma, the bigger it gets. Counseling, of course, is very helpful, and medication, all things that I do and I'm doing to this day, including Jesus and church and prayer, all those things. But I think having self-mastery over your narrative is huge. God says in 2 Corinthians that we are a new creation, that we are no longer our past. Our past is done, and we have been made new. And so if that is true, then that means that the way I talk about my past needs to be different. Being a victim, playing the victim card, is a waste of time, and it only creates more suffering. And people will maybe even put up with you, put up with your pain, or try to support you and love you and help you through it. All good things. I'm not against any of those things. We need more support. But being into this journey now for 30 years, I'm realizing how much of that is not real. How much of the story I tell myself is what I'm captive to, and how I can just tell myself a different story. So when I was maybe 9, 10, my sister and I, she was maybe 6, 7, and myself, we both flew by ourselves to LA from our home country, Nicaragua. Got off the plane and nobody was there to help us. Not the flight attendant, not my grandma, not my uncle, not anyone. LAX, I'm 9 years old. I don't speak Espanol. So my sister begins to cry. I begin to freak out. I have no idea what I did. I think I eventually went to the desk and someone came and helped us. And then my grandma came. And the way I tell that story, is woe is me. I was alone. No wonder I deal with separation anxiety and depression and anxiety and pain and blah, blah, blah. True stuff. But guess what? God gave me the strength to go to the front desk. And God provided the people. And my grandma did come. And my uncle did show up with his car. And we did drive home 30 minutes later. And I learned how strong I am. I learned how people can help you. I learned that LAX is a safe place. And guess what? Now I love traveling. I love airplanes. I don't love traveling. I love airplanes and I love airports. I love traveling too, sure. So we all have, and that's a very simple example. There's worse things that I've been through like you have. But you have to rewrite your narrative, your emotional script. Shout out to Becky Harling. You have to rewrite your trauma to include Jesus, to include hope, to include faith in the positive, not just faith in the negative, to practice self-mastery, to practice being a new creation. The old is gone, the new has come. The old meaning the way you talk about your past, and the new has come means I'm the master over my own destiny. And in fact, those sad stories are the ones that God uses to help others, to give you strength and purpose and to prove to you that he's faithful. When my grandmother died, maybe the second worst day of my life, only second to my father dying, I saw her till her very last second. I rubbed her hair. I cried over her. I prayed. I sang to her. I loved her. I hugged her. I kissed her. And Some of my family members couldn't be in the room. And I remember thinking, I wonder why. But all I could think of is, after all she's given me, the least I can do is to be here till the very last moment of her life. And sometimes I think about that as, woe is me, my grandmother died and I'm alone in this world. But more times than not, I think of the strength that God gave me to be there till the very end. I don't like hospitals. I don't like going to the hospital, doctors. I hate all that stuff, blood, because of all that trauma. But guess what? I was there. And when I've had to go to the doctor, when I've had things to deal with, I've taken myself to the doctor. And I still deal with trauma, but I have proof that I am strong, that God is with me, that in my weakness I am strong, that I am a new creation. The old is gone. Now, some old things stick around. Addictions and trauma and pain and anger, the way you were raised, things that happened to you, they stick around. But it's like a book I read. Sometimes it's the second story that kills us, the story about the story. It's not just the event of having gone through loss or trauma, but it's what you say about yourself. And mostly it's shame. You feel ashamed. You feel embarrassed. You feel alone. You feel angry. You blame yourself. And that's where Jesus promises that you are a new creation. And I'm learning to see the positive. I'm learning to see the helpers, as Mr. Rogers said. I'm learning to see God's hand in difficulties. Right now I'm facing 2 or 3 things, and I don't always see God, meaning my brain doesn't. God is here. God is everywhere, but I don't quite see it. At times I get glimpses. But most times when you're in the middle of a storm, you can't see the calmness. And so you have to put your head down and trust and believe and have faith in this invisible God, and faith in your work, in the mindset that you've developed, in learning from your mistakes. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, freaking out, that's not helpful. Okay, blaming, hating, running. Okay, that's not helpful. And changing your attitude, especially when it comes to blaming other people or being victimized by people, is something that I deal with a lot. And so I've been reading a lot of Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Of whom shall I be afraid? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Basically, do not fear man. I don't have to fear man. Well, the immigrant man, the white man, the president man, the pastor man, the man, he's scary because of XYZ, and I go through my list. Or I can say how maybe they weren't as bad, and maybe how I was faithful in the storm, how I was courageous in the storm. And maybe even to thank those, quote, men, to thank those people for bringing out the best in me, for criticizing me or putting me down or even giving me opportunities, how it all shaped me to be a better me. I'll close with this. About 5-6 years ago, I was at my church where I was the senior pastor, and it was at the end of the pandemic, and we had partnered with a sister church. Shout out to Victory Outreach, Huntington Park, and Pastor Emmanuel and family, Sister Lisa. I love you guys. And I was going through so much, just victimized, victim card, victim mentality. And I didn't have the tools to stand in the storm. I gave up and I left. But as I was doing all that, I talked to my pastor, Pastor Emmanuel, and he said, David, you have to have alligator skin. You have to give people a little peinadito, a little fade. And I didn't do that. I didn't know how to do that. But he showed me the way. Now, maybe 6 years later, yes, 7, I am facing similar stuff, not as bad. And now I have more strength. And in many ways, my church, even in its pain and its difficulties and things that I did wrong and things that they did wrong, and et cetera, it taught me resilience. It taught me at the moment how weak I was, and I can be. And at times I still am. But also how I can have alligator skin through Christ who gives me strength. And you can do the same. Wherever you feel like you're not being the man that you're supposed to be, or the woman, or the person that God wants you to be, there is hope. There is a prayer for you. There is a chance. There is a second chance for you. There is power in the name of Jesus. You can be set free from your fears. And on the other side of that, you can reach your goals, your dreams, a family, your house, your car, the career that you want. All your goals are available and attainable to those who believe, and to those who stop playing the victim card, who work through their stuff, forgiving, admitting, giving up that guilt and that shame, seeing how good God has been, seeing the good in the ugly, and then being free to go and change the world for Jesus. I hope that helps. If you'd like my coaching, let me know. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Adios.